Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome to another aesthetic imaging video tutorial. Today, we're going to be looking at this cute little kitty. Aww. Let's see what's going on with him. And let's play this back, and what? Oh God, oh no! What is that?
Did you or someone you know a cat that is possessed by demons? If so, I believe that I can help. My name is J.C. McClaren, and I'm here to make your cats not possessed by demons no more. That is my word to you. Please dial 1-800-DEMON-CATS.
Alright, so I put a call into the cat exorcist. We'll see what happens there with that. But in the meantime, let's get started on this composition. Seamless transition right there. Alright, so we're looking at we got our footage in here. Alright, so the first thing we want to start out doing is tracking the motion. There's a couple ways of doing this. I'm just going to go with the tracker over here. We're going to do track motion. That's going to create a point. And we can just make this bigger. The bigger it is, the more accurate it will be. But the longer it will take to calculate the motion. So now we have our one tracker point. And we're going to go and click on rotation. Check that off, make this box a little bigger, and I move this over to the other eye. And just kind of stretch that out. Right over here. Alright, he's got some big old square glasses on. So now we're at the end of our composition here. So we're going to analyze and do track backwards, or analyze backwards. This is going to take, oh God, quite some time. Oh, thank God it's done. All right, so now that we have the tracking done, and that took just no time at all, what we're going to do is, we can crunch down this a little bit here, give us a little more room. We can right-click, go to New, Null Object. All right, so now we can go to Edit Target and make sure that Null 6 is selected. It is. All right, and we can just hit Apply, X and Y, and hit OK. So now we have this turned off, but if we hit Shift Command H, that'll bring up a little doohickey. And it is tracked to the eyeball. So basically we're going to be starting working off at the end of the composition. It's just going to be easier that way. All right, so first thing we want to do is create the eye socket. So we're going to create a new solid, make it black. Hit OK. And what we want to do is actually poke its little eye out, make it invisible. Let's just zoom in a little bit here, right on the eyes. And it's a little hard to see, so what we can do, just for the time being as a temporary fix here, we can do a curves, add that on top of our Sheldon footage, and we can just brighten the heck out of it. There we go, that's fine. We can just see the outline here. Like I said, this is only temporary. So we can click on the pen tool up here, or we can hit G. That's what I was going for. And create our mask. So we just kind of want to go along here. And just kind of, you can be precise with it, or you can just not be precise. It's up to you. So if you want to move one of these handles, let's do this. Change the color to something a little more easier to see. Something like that. If you want to change one of these handles without moving the other side of it, you can hit Alt, and I'll just bring that over right there. You know, maybe edit some of these points so they're not so crazy. There we go, and then let's move on to the other eye. And you still can't see exactly where the eye ends, so we'll just guess it. Kind of got the nose, the bridge of the nose coming in here, and there we go. So we have our two masks, and we can turn on our black solid now, and we can call this socket. There we go. All right, and with these two, what we can do is hit F to feather out the masks. And with both of them selected, we can just feather this about 12 or so. Make sure that nothing's showing. I think we're good. All right, so over here in assets, I have this photo. It's meat. If you can make this out here, I got it off of DeviantArt. So if you can find it, good for you. But this file is from 2004, so might not be available still. So we have this here. We can turn off our curves and come back up to our project, go into assets, and then we have our photo here. Lovely meat pick. All right, so we can hit S to scale it down. And we're just gonna kind of line it up right here. And what we're gonna do is duplicate our socket, put it above our meat pick. It's gotta be a better name. And we're gonna change the track mat, where it says track mat over here, change it to alpha mat socket 2. All right, so we're really only focusing right now on the, I guess that would be the red eye on the left-hand side. So we're going to place that probably about there. That's a little too much on this side. So what we can actually do is select our meat pick and just make a mask over top of the one eye. Now take both of these, the socket and your meat pick, and duplicate them. And you can actually just move with the move tool selected. You can double click and move the mask over. Actually, we want to delete the mask. All right, so we're going to move this one into place. Find a good spot. Yeah, about right there. All right, now we can make another mask around this. There we go. And I think I'm going to move the second one around. Change this mask to none for right now. All right, so now we're just going to kind of move this around. Find a nice spot, like right there maybe. And then move the mask into place. Turn that back to add. And now what we want to do is create another mask inside of our meat picks. So if you hold shift while you drag this around, you can actually move the mask. So we're just going to make a little circle here, oval, and then we can rotate it so it kind of matches with the rotation of the eye, or what appears to be the rotation of the eye. All right, so for this mask, we're going to set it to subtract. And then we're going to feather it out quite a bit. Like I would say like that much. So what we can do is double tap M. There we go. Go to mask opacity, kind of lower that a little bit. Maybe up the expansion. Find a good feathering amount. So what we also want to do on our meat picks is add a tint. So color correction tint. We're going to put that on top right there. And set this to something like 50%. Yeah, something like that. All right, so for this one, we're going to add another tint. This one's a little bit higher, maybe like 65, 66. And we're also going to add a curbs because it's a little too bright. So color correction curbs, add that on top. And we can just kind of darken that a bit. Like a whole bunch. All right. And we're going to create another little circle on this guy. Do we do it on the socket? Yeah. So we're going to create our second circle, the inside circle. Double tap M. Feather it out. Set it to subtract. And lower the mask opacity a little bit. There we go. That looks disgusting. All right, so what we're going to do is select our socket and then our last socket up here and everything in between. And we're going to recompose that, Shift-Command-C. And we're going to call this blackout. All right, so now that we have that going, what we need to do is take this little pick whip right here and connect it to our null. And we're actually going to rename this to camera movement. It's now moving with footage. All right, so what we want to do is animate this so it comes on. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to right click, go to new, solid, make a solid, and call this whatever. We're going to call this EBOI blackout matte. All right, doesn't matter the color. We're going to add a fractal noise to it. So noise and grain, fractal noise. Add that on top. All right, so for this fractal noise, we're going to change the fractal type to a dynamic. And we're going to bump up the contrast a whole bunch. Something like that. The brightness we're not going to touch for now. That's actually going to be the part that we animate. For transform, we want to twirl that open and lower the scale a whole bunch to like 26, 24, 25. All right, so twirl that back closed. And all right, so for evolution, we want to alt-click on the stopwatch. And we're going to type in time times 200. Something quick. And that's what we got. All right, so we're going to animate this. And we're going to animate the brightness. So we're going to go to maybe, I don't know, the 16th frame. And we're going to hit the stopwatch on the brightness. And we're going to turn this down till it's completely black. Okay, come on. There you go. Completely black. All right, so we can hit U on the keyboard, and that'll bring up our keyframes. And then we can go maybe to about here. And we're just going to turn up the brightness until it's completely white. So now we have that coming on. And what we're going to do is we're going to, under our eye blackout, we're going to change this to Luma Matte EBO Matte. And you can either leave it that crisp, or what you can do is add a fastbox blur real quick on our matte. We can add our blur, set that to like 2, and we'll do 1. All right, so now that we got the eye blackout all worked out, we're going to create the pupils. So new, solid, and we're going to call this a pupil. Hit OK. All right, so first thing we're going to do is add a fractal noise. All right, so for the fractal type, we're going to leave it at basic. Contrast, we're going to bring down a little bit to maybe like 60-ish, 64. Yeah, that works. Brightness, we're going to turn up just a little bit. All right, so we're going to twirl open the transform, go to scale, and bring that down to about 25-ish. There we go. And complexity, we're actually going to turn this down a little bit to like, I don't know, something like that. And then for evolution, I'll click on the stopwatch and we're going to do time times 250. And we're going to poke its eye out, and we're going to go to the last frame here, and we're going to create a mask. So we're going to go up to this point right here, and maybe come down like this, find the center. I mean, we're basically going to be re-editing this. All right, so we want to do that little alt-click thing to move it. So we're going to basically make this sharp little sharp corners at the ends here. Close that off. Oh, that one got twirled around for some reason. I'd probably make this a little smaller. All right, that's fine. We can hit V on the keyboard to bring up the move tool. Just kind of move that in place, maybe rotate it. It would have been a lot easier to do it straight and then rotate it, but hey, I've only done this a couple times. I know what I'm doing. All right, so instead of doing all that stupid stuff again, what we can do is just duplicate the mask. Maybe make this a different color. And we can just move this over and rotate it in the opposite direction. Maybe scale them down a little bit. Shift and Command will scale it down evenly in all directions. Yeah, that works. Do the same. That's what the part that took me the longest was actually getting these stupid pupils to work out and look right. First time I did it, he was looking all cross-eyed and lazy-eyed, and it was just tough. And it's actually, this eye being so dark makes it so hard to do. So anyway, we're going to turn this back on. All right, so now that we have our pupil in place, we're going to add an effect called VC Color Vibrance. I've used this a lot before. A good thing to mention, now that we're, halfway through the tutorial, is that I am in 32 bits per channel over here. Basically, if you're working with anything that glows, I would be in 32 bits per channel. It'll just look better. All right, so we have our color vibrance on. This is made by Video Copilot.net. It's completely free, so I mean you can download it and use it, and I would definitely do that because it's pretty awesome. All right, so we want to feather our masks actually over here. So select both of these, feather it out just a little bit, probably like 12. There's back on, double click, shift command. That looks fine. Double click this one, shift command, scale it up. All right, so now we have our pupil going, and we're going to duplicate that. And we're going to name this bottom one Pupil Glow. Actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to name the top one Pupil Glow. Pupil Glow. There we go. Now for this one, we're going to change up the fractal noise a little bit. Pupil Glow, let's change this to dynamic progressive. And we're going to bump up the contrast quite a bit. Something like that. And we're going to turn down the brightness. Something also like that. And let's see, what else can we do? We can lower the size or the scale here. All right, we can actually do fill empty background. And then what we're going to do is add a glow. So type in glow, it's under stylize glow. And for this one, we're going to turn up the threshold quite a bit here. Still don't like those masks. Just a little bit bigger. Hide that again. And we're going to bump up the radius a whole bunch. And turn up the glow intensity. Yeah, something like that. And we are actually going to move this down below. So this top one, the pupil, we're going to set to lighten. And the bottom glow, we're going to set to add. And what we're also going to do is add another black solid underneath that. And we'll call this pupil background. There we go. So we're going to make sure that we have our pupil selected, our pupil glow, and the background. And we're going to pre-compose them. We're going to call this Pupil Pre-Comp PC. So now we're going to do the same thing we did for our eye blackout. We're going to create a new solid. And we're going to call this Pupil Matte. All right, so we're going to add a fractal noise. Noise and grain, fractal noise, add that on top. And this is going to be pretty much the same as the other ones. All right, so we're going to bump up the contrast a whole bunch. Maybe something like that. And the brightness we're going to leave for now because we're going to animate that. We're going to go down to the transform and scale that down. Maybe scale it up a little bit more. There we go, 19. It's fine. All right. For the complexity, we're actually going to turn it up a little bit. All right, and evolution. Alt-click on the stopwatch. You know what to do by now. We'll do this one. Well, I'll do another 250. All right, so pupil matte. We're going to open up our EBO matte. Open up the keyframes, hitting U. And just after it animates on, we're going to go to, maybe a couple frames afterwards. Go into pupil matte. We're going to click on the stopwatch of the brightness. And we're going to turn this down till it's completely black. Just like that. Just like that. I want to thank you for letting me in my shower. And then go maybe like a second or so into the future. And we want to turn up the brightness, but not until it's completely white. Not this time. See, this effect is all about the layers, and I found that this was a little cool kind of thing that you can do to just add a little more dynamic into the evilness of the eye. I don't know. So we're going to leave a couple black specks here. So now that we have that done, what we're going to do is set the pupil pre-comp, the track matte, to be Luma Matte Pupil Matte. We're going to select our pupil and our pupil matte, and we're going to pre-compose that. So Shift Command C, or you can right click and go down to pre-compose. And we're going to call this Pupil Comp. Hit OK. And we're going to duplicate our eye blackout. And we're going to put it above our pupil comp. Set this to no track matte. And we're going to set the pupil comp to alpha matte eye blackout 2. All right, so now that we did that, let's take the pick whip over here for our pupil comp and connect that to the camera movement. And another thing we want to do is take this EBO matte and do the same. And our last step for the pupil is to change the blending mode to screen. So we can rename this eye blackout up here to Pupil Matte. All right, so we want to duplicate our pupil, but we don't want to duplicate it inside our timeline, because we actually want to go inside of it and make changes to it without affecting our original. So we go into project window, find our pupil comp, and we can just duplicate that, Shift or Command D, and rename this to Pupil Glow Comp. And we can open it up. And on top of our pupil, we can add a glow. Stylized glow, add that right on top. All right, so for the threshold, we're going to bring that down. Something like that. For the radius, we're going to bring up to maybe about 25, 26. And then for glow intensity, we're going to put 0.1. And then what we can do is duplicate that and then just pull out the glow radius here. And then we want to go back into our main composition here. Go to project window, take our pupil glow comp and add that on top of our pupil matte. And then set this to screen. Go to the end frame here where the original was made. And attach that to the camera movement. We can actually lower the opacity a little bit. There we go. And we're going to duplicate our pupil matte. Bring that above. And then we want to set the track matte to alpha matte pupil matte 2 of our glow comp. Here we go. All right, so in between these two, I'm going to add a new solid. And we're going to make this an orange solid. So turn up the brightness to 100. Turn up the saturation. That's going to be about 60-ish. And bring it over to more towards an orange. Here we go. Hit OK. Now what we want to do is create a mask around our eyeballs here. And set the blending mode to be soft light. And feather it out. And we want to create another mask over the other eye. Hit F to feather that out. And for the pupil glow, we'll go back in here to our pupil matte here. And we're going to add a fast box blur. Just because, I don't know, I'm looking at these specs and they're just too like crisp and harsh. So pupil glow comp, we can change that one. So fast box blur. All right, fast box blur, add that on top. Maybe change this to... see, does that look better? So I think another thing I want to do is go back into our eye blackout and select the right eye, which is on the left-hand side, and we're going to add a curves. All right, add that on top, and maybe darken that down a little bit. Take the second one, maybe darken that down even further. Maybe change the opacity on our glow. Did we, you know what I didn't do? Okay, so we're going to go into our eye blackout. And one thing I forgot to add is our fast box blur. That's why it's looking different. And we're going to add that to both of our layers. Maybe set that to 2. Copy that, Command C, and paste it into the second one. All right, and one of the last steps that we do here is take our Sheldon footage and duplicate it and bring it above everything else. Oh, almost forgot. We make sure that our orange glow, that is orange glow. Okay, make sure our orange glow is connected to the camera movement. All right, so for the Sheldon footage, we can actually reset this curves, turn it on, and we're just going to brighten it up just a little bit. And then on top of that, we're going to add an extract. So it's under keying, extract, and just pop that down on there. And we want to keep going. So what we're looking for is to make sure that we have our catch lights in here without having the rest of the footage. So we can kind of bring that in, make it a softer edge. Something like that. And finally, we can create a mask around. And there's going to be very little keyframing, which is nice. All right. So we're going to select our move tool. And we're going to move this into place. We're going to make this a lot easier. We're going to open up our mask and select both of them. All right. Bring that over. All right, so we're going to click on the stopwatch for our mask path, and we're just going to change this to half. Just kind of randomly select, make sure that wherever you select, the catch lights are inside of the mask. Luckily, you don't have to be super precise. Just keep moving it. Just go through. Go to the first frame, maybe. There, go right in between there. All right, and we're going to set this to screen. And that's basically the effects. What we can do to make this even more of a creepy looking thing, we can go and create a new adjustment layer. And just add a Lumetri color. Color corrections, Lumetri color. Add that on top. You can go to creative. That's fine. This is actually a horror LUT pack that I'm working on. I have no clue when it's going to be done, but it's going to be available for purchasing. Again, no clue when it's going to be done. All right, maybe we can mess with the color wheels over here. Maybe brighten up the bright spots, darken the dark spots. Oh, yes. Another thing we need to do is open up the keyframes for... Oh, no. Okay. So we need to go to where the the pupils start coming on. Go to our orange glow, hit T to bring up the opacity, turn that down to 0, and when they are fully on, turn that up to 100. 0, not 1. Thank you. Alright, so that's the effect. Feel free to mess around with some of the settings, kind of tweak it to get it to look a little bit better. I mean, this is kind of rushed. Hopefully in the future, I'll have something set up where you can actually download the like footage and stuff like that. But for now, sorry. Alright, so hope you found that useful. Don't forget to... I'm not going to do that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that stuff. I don't know. That feels cheap. I always feel cheap when I, come on guys, like me. Like me. Please. Please, will you like me? Guys, please. So, I mean, it's up to you. Alright, so anyway, I'm done. I'll see you guys next time.
Do you know someone who... You don't know someone. Do you or someone you know a cat that is possessed by demons? That is something. God damn it. I saw myself up there. It's ridiculous. Please, if you or someone you know needs help with that, dial 1-800-CAT-DEMONS. Amen.